r/AskReddit. What's one of life's biggest traps that people fall into? Just because you have spare money at the end of the month doesn't mean you need to spend it. Look at this guy with spare money at the end of the month. I've got spare month at the end of my money. Waiting too long for perfect, like the perfect soulmate, house, job, etc. and then letting too many good opportunities pass by. I have heard so many stories from people who have achieved the highest levels of success only to fall into the deepest depression of their life when they realize that even reaching their highest goals didn't fill that peace inside of them that was missing. It's like how any sports team that wins a championship is just grinding again at it the next year. Not saying that pursuing lofty goals isn't worth it, but as the saying goes, it's about the journey and not necessarily the destination. When artists give the concerts and performances of their lives, then going back to their hotels feeling empty. Sunk cost fallacy. Seriously underrated comment. Sometimes you just have to walk away. Doesn't matter what you've invested. The longer you stay, the more you will lose. This is true for relationships, bad jobs, houses and cars you are constantly repairing, the go-kart in your garage. Sometimes you're better off leaving behind the memories and the emotional and financial investments and just starting again from scratch. It's never easy, but it's something we all have to do eventually. Let it go. Me trying not to get out of bed in the middle of the night when I'm comfy but I really have to pee. I'm losing more sleep than if I just get up now and pee cause I can't sleep when I have to pee so bad. But I'm so comfy now and getting up will ruin that. Doing nothing because of fear of rejection. Or its cousin. Doing nothing because doing something limits your options. I saw my life branching out before me like the green fig tree in the story. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. One fig was a husband and a happy home and children, and another fig was a famous poet, and another fig was a brilliant professor, and another fig was E.G., the amazing editor, and another fig was Europe and Africa and South America, and another fig was Constantine and Socrates and Attila and a pack of other lovers with queer names and offbeat professions, and another fig was an Olympic lady crew champion. And beyond and above these figs were many more figs I couldn't quite make out. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree, starving to death, just because I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest. And as I sat there, unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one, they plopped to the ground at my feet. Sylvia Plath, The Bell Jar. Never letting go of the past. That can kill you, I swear. Or more specifically, how things that happened have hurt. Letting go of the pain. It's not always easy, but it is a trap. Or, slightly differently, regretting past decisions you made or opportunities you didn't take. Hindsight is 20/20 and I feel like I wasted a lot of my 20s regretting the past instead of enjoying the present. Heck, I guess I'm doing it right now. Not knowing how to use credit cards right. Edit. Didn't know this was gonna go crazy. I do have a YouTube video on how they can help and hurt you. https://youtube bko4edgebjc. Spend $5,000 and pay back minimum balance $10. No? $15 or you will never get ahead on it. Lifestyle creep, feeling the need to upgrade cars, houses, jewelry, etc. to keep up with your peers. Yes, lifestyle inflation is how people earning 100k plus a year life paycheck to paycheck. Exactly. I have friends that tell me to buy certain things like a new car or something because I can afford it. They are so confused when I reply back I can afford not to as well. Thinking that you're running out of time to do something because someone else has done it already. I could absolutely shred guitar licks, of all genres, at age 17. I could play literally everything lead guitar wise. 10 hours a day practice sessions for 9 years and sacrificed grades, social life and all that comes with that. I gave it up when I heard Steve Vai live. It crushed me. Try as I might, there was no way I could do what he was doing. I couldn't get over it. Decades later, I realize I made a huge mistake. I was good and my entire philosophy was based on something outside of myself that I couldn't control. Don't make this mistake. Do you and put it out there because you like it. Similar thing happened with me and bass guitar. When I was 18 I bought my first bass and I practiced a bunch. I then met a friend who was a wizard on guitar who I played with almost every day, and I was getting to the point where I got comfortable playing outside in the streets of Boston. People came up to my friend and I loved it and said we sounded like Black Sabbath, had others saying we sounded like Rage. We were strictly instrumental. I ducking even ran into one of the guys from dispatch who said he loved our sound when we were ducking around in a studio. Then something started to hit me when people kept saying I was good. I didn't know how to read music. I didn't know much about anything on bass. I literally just played what sounded good in my head or took a bass line and changed it up to make it catchy and my own. I still felt like a fraud, and I kept having this lingering feeling that musicians that knew what they were doing would know I was a fraud. I then, biggest mistake, took to the internet and kept watching bass players who were better than me by a large margin and half my age. My best friend, the guitar wizard, told me it doesn't matter how good they are in the technical department. What matters is you know how to rock, and a lot of them don't. I still couldn't see past it though. I ended up getting so discouraged I sold my bass guitar to pay for some traveling and never looked back on playing. My buddy still plays though and I still support. Now I just blame my laziness to ever go back to picking up a bass again. Face rolling on the floor laughing. But the common thought I had in my head back then was I wasn't good enough to do anything with it other than to duck around. And I didn't want to be exposed, so I said sayonara before it happened. Letting other people define success for them rather than defining it for themselves. Theoretically, yes, but that's not how most humans work. Success is a social thing, always in relation to social constructs and others. It's in our nature to see it that way. We can modify a bit, but tough to change. But that's not how most humans work. Success is a social thing, always in relation to social constructs, and a thirsty believe I can attest to this just a little bit. I'm the son of first-generation Asian American immigrants. Came over in 1992 as international students with a net worth of under $1,000. Stretched their scholarship, which was meant to cover 80% of their university cost, to pay for their entire university expenses, and made a life here. Since people seek out familiarity when in an unfamiliar environment, the vast majority of my parents' social circle was other Asian American immigrants. As a result, I knew countless other second-gen Asian Americans, aka my parents' friends' children, who weren't exactly my friends, but was on a first name basis with and maybe followed on IG. 80% of them went to top tier, think Stanford, MIT, Berkeley, etc., or second tier, Michigan, UCLA, Carnegie Mellon universities. I'm at the local state university and took 5 years to graduate, graduating June 2023. My mom doesn't even hang out with her friends much anymore because she'd have to listen to them talk about their kid's new 6-figure software job at LinkedIn or something, while I'm still in school and making $19.50 hourly at my internship. Even though I'm reasonably confident I'll have the tools to make at least an average living for myself when I depart the education system forever in a few months, it's hard not to look at the success of the peers I grew up with and wonder why how I fell so short of them. You could describe me as the runt of the litter, haha. Marrying or living with or otherwise committing to someone who is mean to you and doesn't treat you well. Sleepwalking into marriage or living together because it's time or nothing is really wrong. It's just not right. I've seen it unfold IRL way too many times. And I'm 43, and the first wave of divorces, second wave of marriages is in full swing. And while the window dressing differs on each of them, there are underlying realities in all the ones that don't work out. I have a friend right now who is killing me. Her boyfriend isn't really nice to her. There's no passion or chemistry in the relationship, and she doesn't know if she loves him anymore. But she's staying with him because she's nervous to be single again. Like, just go. Don't be miserable with this guy who is good enough, I guess, for the rest of your life. You gotta be your own advocate. If you think other people will fix the problems you have, you're gonna have a bad time. And it is okay to say no. I work in a nursing home and it's absurd the amount of people that I've seen burn themselves out because they feel obligated to pick up extra shifts of come and early leave late when they are asked. You don't need a reason or excuse to say no. Also, take your allowed breaks at work. Take that time to decompress and your mental health will be better for it. I just say that I'm taking my break. I've stopped actually asking if it's okay. It makes it harder for anyone to object. This is especially true for anything healthcare related. Putting things off. We could do it more as kids because someone was there to pick up the slack or stay on top of you to get something done. But as an adult, the consequences of waiting on stuff slaps you hard. Thank you. I was looking for this. A lot of windows open in life only to shut forever behind you once they've passed. And on top of that, you're also going to die one day. Seize the moment while you have it, because once it's gone, it's gone. I guess what I'm trying to say is, LOL, YOLO. It's country, but Cody Johnson has a song called Till You Can't that's pretty much about this. How you only have this one life and it doesn't last forever. You can put everything off for as long or as much as you want, thinking you'll have another chance at it, until the day comes where you don't. I bawled my eyes out when I first heard it and watched the music video, because, well, he's right. People live like they have forever, and we often forget that we just don't. Death can come at any moment. People can walk out at any second. Our lives can be absolutely flipped upside down in the snap of our fingers. Once it's gone, it's gone. We're just going to dwell on the things we didn't do. We're gonna regret the chances we passed on. The world is going to keep turning whether we like it or not. Might as well turn with it while we have the chance. As he says in the song, don't wait on tomorrow, cause tomorrow may not show. Spending more because you're earning more. For me, this one cuts both ways. Now that I'm making good money, I can afford to spend more on quality things. Recent example. 2 years ago I bought a $250 electric snowblower. It lasted 2 years. I could have bought another, but instead decided to spend significantly more on a high quality gas powered snowblower that will likely last me decades. If you're buying lots of junk you don't need though, yeah, just don't. I'd say sometimes a better income leads you to the possibility of making better financial choices by spending more. I could spend $150 yearly on a cheap electric mower or do what I recently did and buy a petrol one for $500 that will last 10 or more. Many people can't afford to do this and so over a 10-year period spend 3x as much because of it. Thinking too much of what others think of them or how they are perceived. I think this goes along with self-esteem, but I started feeling a lot better about myself when I let go of the fear of judgment. Caring what others think. You should to some extent, but doing it too much just destroys your self-worth and turns you into someone you are not. I get what you mean, and I agree with the sentiment. I'd reword it though to judging yourself by what others think. Because caring about what others think is a good thing. That's basic empathy. But letting them tell you how to feel about yourself is definitely a bad place to be. Cats showing their belly. I always fall into this trap and get scratched by my cat. No regrets. Debt, regret, fear. Fear of regret is what ruined me with debt. Working a job you hate because it pays well but you're miserable. Also on the flip side of that, quitting a job you hate and then falling into the trap of self-isolated comfort and not working. I hate that I've kinda fallen into this. Quit a horrible warehouse job 18 months ago to try pursuing a job in my degree field to not much luck yet. I've tried to do projects, rework my resume, upskill, etc. But after so many rejections it's real easy to burn out and convince yourself that you should just lose yourself in something else for a few weeks because it's more comfortable. Picture this. Your manager pulls you aside and asks you to do a little extra work. You want to move up in the company. You like your job. You say yes. Your manager says thank you do much for doing this. I see great things in your future, keep up the good work. We're watching and we don't know what we'd do without you. Next week, your manager pulls you aside and asks you to do a little extra work. You want to move up in the company. You like your job. You say yes. Your manager says thank you do much for doing this. I see great things in your future, keep up the good work. We're watching and we don't know what we'd do without you. Next week, your manager pulls you aside and asks you to do even more extra work. You want to move up in the company. You like your job. You say yes. Your manager says thank you do much for doing this. I see great things in your future, keep up the good work. We're watching and we don't know what we'd do without you. You keep doing all this extra work and taking on all these extra responsibilities. Responsibilities that they'd normally have a supervisor or manager do. But you're doing all this extra work at your base pay, which to them is for free. Please realize they have no intention of promoting you if you're doing a ton of extra work for them and they aren't compensating you for it. Then it's time for a raise and all they can focus on is the one time something wasn't perfect. Excuse me, there were 200 other days of work you had no issue with. Your boss is not your friend. He doesn't care about you except in as much as you can make money for him. This should be taught in school. Having kids, BC society said they should. Nothing against kids, parents, etc, but the pressure to have kids is immense from family and or religion in most areas cultures. More often couples have to explain why they chose not to or couldn't have. Having kids to save their marriage. Literally the worst thing you can do. Having a kid adds so much stress and sleep deprivation. If your relationship is already struggling, none of those things will make it better. Multi-level marketing. Someone got me to go to a seminar and the rhetoric was what a lot of people want to hear about themselves for validation. Same as any other cult, unfortunately for those who get sucked in. My sister is sucked into this right now. When I was a kid I used to go to Amway conferences with dad because they were at a nice hotel with a pool and would occasionally go to a rally. As a kid I knew that shit was messed up. Now my adult sister comes home from conferences and spouts the same jargon. It's actually a little disturbing. They can barely pay their bills right now and it's not going to get better, but they won't allow anyone to talk any sense into them. She heard all the success stories and doesn't realize how hard you have to work to be in that fraction of a percent of people who really thrive and succeed, and she does not have the work ethic to even get close. She basically works a form of retail and hasn't worked a day in December. One of the biggest traps in life is not picking yourself up after a failure, letting yourself go and sinking to the bottom. Depression will sink in and you'll start to lose everything. Extremely heartbreaking when you see someone you loved through this. They will stop caring and become suicidal because they feel there is nothing left to live for, when in reality they still are alive and that's all that matters. The world isn't better with less people. It's better with people who adjust and live for the better. Red Heart. My dad hit rock bottom with his alcoholism. Broke into a neighbor's house to burglarize it. Got arrested. Went to jail. Killed himself in his cell. When life hits hard, it can be hard to see another way. But there is always another way. Damn. I'm so sorry. That's genuinely tragic. Procrastination. Tomorrow is always the busiest day of the week. Always staying in your comfort zone. Trick question. I'm uncomfortable everywhere. But it's comfy and warm. Having an elaborate expensive wedding that does nothing but stress everyone out and bankrupt you. Procrastinating. Entrusting yourself to short-term benefits whilst shunning long-term goals will only serve to aid your downfall. The consequences to your actions can't be avoided forever. Toxic relationships. People do them to try and fix people, but they just end up getting themselves hurt. Alcoholism and drug abuse. Eventually getting high stops being fun, but you can't stop because your body is physically dependent on it. It sucks. And alcoholism is more people than anyone wants to admit. Payday loans. Getting married, having kids because they think they have to, not because they actually want to. Imposter syndrome. The cure is eventually realizing no one has a clue. Amen. It's both frightening and relieving to discover how fucking incompetent most people are. Staying in unhealthy relationships because I've put 10 years into this. I beg of you, know your worth, my loves. Spiraling credit card debt. Simply graduating from college will guarantee you a nice paying comfy job. That's only a fairly recent change. Up until the 2000s, simply having a degree in literally anything meant a statistically very high chance of being able to land a nice paying job, even for people who were underemployed. Shit started going sour in the 80s, but in the 2000s, it went from manageable to completely out of control. Having children if you don't want them. Never let your family or partner talk you into having them if you know it's not for you. Thinking HR is on their side. Comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. Low self-esteem, addiction, codependency, dependency, ignorance. My grandfather only ever gave me one piece of advice, God rest his soul. There are 3 things in life that can ruin you. 1. Drugs. Don't do drugs. 2. Don't gamble, and 3. A good woman is very important. A bad one can ruin your life forever. All I can say is too true. By far the biggest, living in a complacent existence because it is rooted in a fear with something based around your self-esteem, change, open-mindedness and forcing actions, even minor, such as taking a trip to a library, cooking a meal you haven't tried, or major like applying to a new job or trying to a new hobby involving other new people, are the method to staying youthful and, most importantly, soulful. Complacency eventually hits a floor that isn't pleasant to yourself or others around you because you don't have much new insight, merit, or bright energy to offer. May sound general, but ask yourself, when was the last time you tried something for the first time? A food, a place, a book, a trip. Less complacency equals more soul. That giant box propped up by a stick, it's got a pizza under it, and while the pizza is good, it is frustrating being under the box when the stuck falls down. Thinking life is fair. Fear of missing out. FOMO. Fear of not measuring up. Bringing on self-decay due to comparing oneself to others. Believing that what people show you of themselves is true. It's rarely ever even close. Thinking your education was complete in HS or college. Failing to understand that your darkest secret, the one that holds you hostage, with shame, is the same thing everyone else struggles with. That which is most personal is most universal. Listening too much to others and not enough to yourself. Remember that you're the one that has to live with you and your choices. Make sure you're happy with the meter to fix typo. Being too philosophical. If you keep being like, what's the point of life? Why doing this? Etc. It can really be depressing overall. Yeah, life sucks sometimes. And then what? Well then, nothing change. So don't think about it too much. What I mean is, getting over all of that is an important starting point. What is done is done. You may have made some mistakes. Yep, and then what? Bro, just live your present life. Addiction. Obsession with physical appearance. This has plagued my life and I've never felt satisfied with how I look. Be kind to yourself and others. Drugs. They can be a useful servant but a lousy master. Can't believe I haven't seen this yet. Getting involved in a land war in Asia or going up against a Sicilian when death is on the line. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.